Hello all and welcome to TaleInferno. My name is Charlotte and today we are looking into the literary theory of psychoanalytic criticism. Before we get into that, I would like to just say, how do you think this looks? Doesn't it look different? Doesn't it sound different? This is the new setup and it's so exciting. I've got everything set up for all the new content that's coming to TaleInferno soon, and I'm super excited about delving into some other kinds of stories, and I'm just really excited for the future of TaleInferno and all the stuff that's coming out soon, and I hope you guys are excited too. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about the psychoanalytic criticism literary theory. That's what we're here for. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Now, just like the other literary theory video that I put up, I'm going to try and do this as quick as possible. So I might skim over a few main points here, there, and everywhere, but everything I talk about you can go and find in a whole bunch of resources. As I mentioned in the last vlog, most of my knowledge comes from Peter Barry's beginning theory book that I showed and had the image of, and it's on Instagram, TaleInferno's Instagram. But if you can't be bothered to go look at it, here it is. Go find it and read it and learn and woo, let's go. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Let's go straight into this. I'm sure when you hear the word psychoanalytic criticism, you can quickly relate it to psychoanalysis. And when we talk about psychoanalysis, one of the first names we think of is Sigmund Freud. Now, there's a whole bunch of people out there that have done a whole bunch of stuff on psychoanalysis, but Sigmund Freud was a really interesting person, let's put it that way. He did a lot of stuff about psychosexuality and psychosexual stages and the subconscious, unconscious. There's a whole bunch of words, and I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of his key ideas and words in a list so that you can go out and have a look at them, because a lot of them can relate to this literary theory. Oh god, the words are not coming out as well as they should. But yes, here comes a whole bunch of words out of my handy dandy notebook, because of course it comes out of my handy dandy notebook. So we've got unconscious, repression, sublimation, ego, superego, id, infantile sexuality, Oedipus complex, libido, oral, anal and phallic, eros, thanatos, transference, projection, defense mechanisms, screen memory, Freudian slip, dream work, displacement, condensation. Boom, there it is. I'm not going to go into all of them a lot. However, I will go into a couple because they are really important to psychoanalytic criticism for criticizing literature. I think the main thing that we can really pull quickly in regards to criticizing literature and analyzing literature with psychoanalytic criticism is that of dream work. Now, dream work really looks into analyzing our dreams in regards to what is going on in our minds, really to do with memory and so forth, and our repressed memories of any traumatizing experiences in our lives. Now, when we repress a memory, we're not necessarily getting rid of it. It's still there. So dreams, Freudian slips, the whole kit and caboodle, that's a way that those memories are trying to get to the forefront of our lives. They're trying to escape, they're trying to get through. And that also relates to our writing. Sometimes we could be writing something and subconsciously putting something onto the page that relates to a repressed memory without us even realizing it. And that's what psychoanalytic criticism is really all about. Being able to take those particular themes or symbolic moments and thinking, hang on a second, what has this got to do with the author? And why have they put this in here? Do they realize that this is a huge indication of something in their lives? And then you can start questioning it. You know, there might be interviews with that author, and then that author mentions something and people will be like, oh my goodness, that's true. Like, someone figured it out. Anyway, But yeah, so that's a really, I suppose, easy way of looking at this kind of psychoanalytic criticism. There's a whole bunch of other ways as well to criticize stories and to analyze stories with psychoanalytic criticism. This could either be a gateway into looking at the author, or it could be a gateway into looking into the actual characters themselves, because characters might actually have other symbolic things happening in their lives if we want to have a deeper meaning of how these characters act and why the author has written them the way that they are. Because most of the time, I'd like to think, or at least with my own writing, I put a lot of thought and effort into the characters to make them how they are. So yes, some of the symbolism that I might put into a story I write around the character might actually be quite you could definitely do some psychoanalytic theory in regards to the character themselves. All in all, the best way to really bring it all together is looking at the analysis of dreams being very similar to the analysis of writing and literature. So I suppose a Freudian psychoanalytic critic, what they do the most is really looking deeply into the conscious and the unconscious and relating that to literature. So looking at the conscious, which is the overt content of a book or a story, like that's at the forefront, the raw story itself is the overt. And then the covert, which is the unconscious, and that is looking at the underlying meaning, so the symbolism or the metaphors or anything else that lives within the text that isn't on the surface. It's like that whole iceberg image where you have the surface, so it's the small bit, and then you have everything else underneath, this huge foundation for the top, really, that's hidden away. That's the underlying meaning of literature, and that's what a lot of Freudian psychoanalytic critics will look into in books and how, you know, that relates to the author or the characters. But a really interesting fact to make here is that psychoanalytic criticism really focuses on, as Peter Barry puts it, the psychodrama, where, you know, when we were talking about Marxist criticism really looks at the social drama, so like social classes and so forth like that, and how that relates to the author and the characters and everything like that in the book. So there's the, I suppose, the main difference between the two. Although they look at the underlying meanings of certain parts of a book or a story, one looks at the social class and the other looks at more to do with memory and the psyche and everything like that. So that's really interesting, and, you know, I'm sure you can make your own combinations and interpretations of that in psychoanalytic criticism and this literary theory and everything else. Yaha. Now, there is also another part to psychoanalytic criticism that I want to touch on, which is all about some major influences by this guy whose name I'm not going to pronounce properly, and I apologize that I'm not going to be able to pronounce it properly, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So here's how it's written, and I'm going to assume it is pronounced Jacques Lacan or Jacques Lacan, whichever one. Anyway, this guy looked at psychoanalysis and really studied and theorized that the unconscious was like language. And when we talk about that in literature, we're talking about actually the words on the page, just the language that's being used. Now, this is really important because it really looks at psychoanalysis as being like not like linguistics, but almost like a study of language. It's the analysis of language in a really weird way, because at the end of the day, psychoanalysis can only exist and be done, I suppose, through communication. Because one person has to tell you, well, this is what happened, and this is the dream, or this is the story that's written on the page, and the other person has to examine that language and understand what it is. So it's all about actually taking the raw words on the page and looking at words themselves and analyzing them for their contradictory meanings, or why one word was used in replacement of another. The research that I have done, the very little research on this side of psychoanalytic criticism, is that these Lacanian psychoanalytic critics, although like Freudians will still look at the unconscious and the conscious, they don't look at it from the author and the character kind of way. They look at it pretty much just through the deconstruction of language. And as I said, looking at contradictory meanings in the language. When you start thinking about it in that way and you try to think about it and deconstruct it yourself and try to understand the meaning of what that is. And as I say in a lot of vlogs and in a lot of blog posts that I write, language is so powerful. It is unbelievable what our language can do. May that be written or spoken or whatever. Language is unbelievable. This is why I'm passionate about storytelling and language as a whole. Anyway, that's it. That's as quickly as I could get through all of it. And I'm sure that I probably could have said it quicker. But as I do, I go on a lot of tangents. And I like to talk about this stuff, and I get really excited, and I hope you guys get really excited too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, go and click that like button, because it'd be really awesome if you did. Also, if you want to check out any other content, go check out the TaleInferno channel and have a watch of all the other videos that's on there. And if you think, oh my gosh, I want to keep watching this stuff and I want to see all this new stuff that she's talking about, hit that subscribe button, because it'd be awesome if you could, and we could go on this journey together, and it would be absolutely awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. That's it from me. Remember to ignite the story, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!